You've probably never had a dealer. No number saved under a fake name. No standing behind a petrol station at 11 at night waiting for a car that might not come. That whole world feels modern. Criminal. Like something that got invented somewhere between the arrival of cities and the arrival of police. It didn't. Here's the thing almost nobody stops to think about. Humans have been getting out of their own heads for thousands of years, and every single one of those highs came from somewhere. It didn't fall out of the sky. Somebody grew the plant or went and found it. Somebody carried it to where the people were, and somebody at the end of that chain decided who was allowed to have it and what they had to hand over to get it. That's a supply chain. That's a market. And a market always has somebody standing at the top of it. So once you go looking for those people, the story stops being about drugs at all. It turns into a story about power, and it gets uncomfortable fast, because the pattern you find is not some primitive version of what we do now. It's sharper than what we do now. Whoever controls the substance controls the ritual. Whoever controls the ritual controls the people who need it. Your ancestors worked that out thousands of years before anyone thought to make any of it illegal. So let's go and find the first dealer. He's older than you think, and he is absolutely not hiding. Start with how far back this goes, because it's further than most people guess. In the Andes, people were chewing coca leaves around 8,000 years ago. We know because archaeologists found the leaves themselves sitting in the floors of ancient settlements in Peru. Not a rumor, not a carving, the actual leaves. Go to Southeast Asia and you find something even more personal. Skeletons in burials, thousands of years old, with their teeth stained a deep reddish brown. That's betel nut. Chew it long enough, and it marks you permanently. So those people are still wearing the evidence of their habit in the ground. Now here's the part that matters, and it's the part that turns a habit into a business. Coca doesn't grow where a lot of the people chewing it lived. It's a warm, humid, lower-altitude plant, and plenty of the people using it were up in the cold, thin air of the mountains, which means the leaves had to travel. Somebody had to bring them up. Same with betel. The nut and the leaf you chew it with don't grow everywhere they were being used. They moved. Along coastlines, between islands, up rivers, and the second something has to travel to reach the person who wants it, you've invented a middleman. You've invented someone who has it when you don't. That's not a modern crime. That's just what happens when a plant grows in one place and the craving lives in another. But carrying leaves around is small time. If you want to see somebody really running the supply, go to Peru about 3,000 years ago to a place called Chavín de Huántar. From the outside, it's a stone temple complex, high in a valley. Impressive, but nothing that prepares you for what's underneath it. Inside, the builders cut a maze of narrow stone tunnels and chambers, galleries. Passages so tight, you'd have to move through them single file, in the dark, with no idea what's around the next corner. And they engineered the place. Water channels running through the stone so the whole structure could be made to roar. Vents and shafts that moved sound and air in ways that don't happen by accident. Then, there's what archaeologists have found in there. Tubes. Small carved tubes used for taking snuff, and residue analysis on them points to powerful psychoactive plants, the kind made from seeds that produce intense, overwhelming visions, along with imagery all over the side of a cactus that carries mescaline. Now put those two facts together, and researchers argue you get something genuinely chilling. This wasn't a party. The tunnels are small. Only a handful of people could be inside at once, which means access was limited, and if access was limited, somebody was choosing. Somebody stood at the entrance and decided you were in, or you weren't. So picture being that person. You've been selected. You're led underground in the dark, given something that takes your mind apart, and while you're in there, the walls start roaring because the priest built a building that could do that on purpose. You come out of that convinced you've met a god, and the people who arranged the whole thing, who controlled the plant, the room, and the sound, are standing there waiting. That's not a dealer on a corner. That's a dealer who built a cathedral around the product. Okay, so a priesthood can control a drug locally, but international trade, actual export, that needs proof. And there's a beautiful piece of it sitting in museums right now. And for decades, nobody understood what they were holding. Around 3,500 years ago, small ceramic jugs were being made on Cyprus and shipped all over the eastern Mediterranean, Egypt, and the coast of the Levant. Thousands of them. They turn up everywhere, which tells you whatever was inside was in serious demand. And the shape of the jug is the strange part. Turn it upside down and it looks almost exactly like the seed capsule of an opium poppy. Same bulge, same little crown on top. Archaeologists noticed that resemblance a long time ago and argued about it for years. Was it a coincidence, a stylistic thing, or was the container advertising its own contents? Then, chemistry caught up. Residue testing on vessels of this kind has now turned up opium, including in burials where these jugs were placed with the dead. Sit with what that means. A container shaped like the plant it holds, mass-produced in one place and shipped across the sea to customers in other countries. That's branding. That's a recognizable product with a supply chain behind it, moving between civilizations 3,500 years ago. Somebody was getting rich off that. Somebody was counting jugs. And here's where it stops being merchants and starts being governments, because eventually somebody in charge notices how much leverage a substance gives you. The Inca ran an enormous empire out of the Andes, and coca was woven right through it. It was used in ritual, in work, in medicine, in offerings. And access to it wasn't a free-for-all. The state had its hands on it, running plantations, moving the leaves, deciding where they went and who they went to. Coca could be a reward, something handed down from above to a person who'd earned it. Think about how efficient that is. If you control the one substance that everybody wants for their most important moments, you don't have to threaten anyone. They come to you. You see the same thing on the other side of the world, in a different flavor. The Greek writer Herodotus described the Scythians, horse people of the steppe, throwing hemp seeds onto hot stones inside, closed felt tents, and sitting in the smoke until they were howling with it. And archaeologists have found the physical side of that too. In the Pamir Mountains, wooden braziers about 2,500 years old with burnt cannabis in them, and the chemistry suggests they'd picked plants with a serious kick, not whatever grew nearby. Those mountains sit on the corridors that later became the Silk Road. So the strong stuff, the good stuff, was already moving along trade routes, already being selected for potency, before anyone wrote the word Silk Road down. That's a market with quality control. So did ancient humans have drug dealers? They had better ones than we do. That's the part I want to leave you with, because it flips the whole picture. When you imagine a dealer, you're imagining a criminal, someone hiding, someone at the bottom of things. But go back far enough, and the person holding the supply isn't hiding at all. He's the priest standing at the mouth of the tunnel. He's the trader with a boat full of poppy jugs. He's the empire deciding which of its subjects has earned a handful of leaves. These are the most powerful people in their world, and part of why they're powerful is that they control what gets into your head. The drug was never the interesting bit. The gatekeeper was. And that job never went away. It just changed uniform. Somebody still grows it, somebody still moves it, somebody still decides who's allowed to have it and what it costs them. Sometimes that's a cartel. Sometimes it's a company with a patent and a marketing budget. Sometimes it's a government writing a list of what you may and may not put in your own body. Every single one of them is doing the job the Chavín priests invented 3,000 years ago. Stand between a human being and the thing that changes how they feel, and you will never be poor and you will never be powerless. So no, the dealer isn't modern. The dealer is one of the oldest jobs there is. The only thing we invented was making him hide.